Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea. Trust me when I say I need a gallon more. Sit back and let's chat about the week, right? The week from astrology and from human design, gene keys, whatever it is we think of today. And I have to tell you, Mercury is playing its freaking games with me. I set this morning's show up yesterday because I thought I had a guest on this morning, and she's not on till next Monday. So I'm sitting here wondering, like, where in the heck is she? Where in the heck is she? And then I thought, well, I'm just going to check my email really quickly. And guess what? She's not due on today. She is due here next Monday with me. And that gives us more time to talk about astrology today, which is a good thing because we have a highly activated week. And I'm going to have to watch my mind. I'm going to have to mind my P's and Q's because apparently this week is going to mess with me. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm a little bit like gobsmacked over the whole thing. Like, how do you make that big of a mistake? And I think part of it is because I live so far ahead in my mind because of, looking ahead at transits that are coming up, looking even out at 2020 at this point, trying to get ready for the next almanac. And then where am I in the now, right? Where's my now? So I apologize. Amy is not here with us this morning. She will be here with us next Monday morning. She's on retreat this week in Oregon. And I knew this. I knew that. And I'm thinking to myself yesterday as I drove past her house, I thought, oh, well, she must be coming home later today. Never thinking until 2 minutes ago that I had the wrong day. And too funny, right? Well, good morning to all of you. I see Willa. Good morning to you. Debbie. Good morning, Mimi and Laura and Vicky and Michelle. It's great to see you ladies out there and other people I see out there. Vanita, good morning. Checking in with me. So what are we up for this week? Because it is going to be a very powerful week. I sat down yesterday to actually write the energy story for the week. And it was difficult to even think of the other days in the week because, well, first of all, I was in the wrong week. But besides that, because Wednesday is so powerful in terms of it was basically taking and sucking in all the astrological energy for the whole entire week and putting it into one day. And that is because what we're walking into is the next energy portal, and we've been walking through quite a few of them. And I don't usually characterize the energies in terms of portals or gateways. I do the new moon, but lately it seems like there have been many opportunities opening up for us to change the way that we are being in the world, to change our minds, to change our hearts, to literally rock the dynamic of the world. And so we have had those back to back, it seems, right? Last week with the new moon in Pisces, it was a gateway, a portal, naturally because of the new moon, but also because there's so much spiritual energy, sort of at our fingertips, just begging us to bring it on in and embody it and to live from that place and not from this outer world garble that allows things like a shooting that kills 49 people to happen. We have got to do something different. And now we come upon another gateway, this gateway, the astrological gateway to the new year. And, we've talked about this before in that, January 1st being this arbitrary day that we've set aside as the new year, when in reality, it has no real bearing on the new year at all. Depending on how you market the new year, I mean, that one's purely made up. It's a fantasy, right? January 1 is a total fabrication, a total fantasy. It has no astrological basis. It has no mythical basis. It is purely mechanical. And my guess is designed to throw us off our game, designed to throw us off the track of living according to the natural systems of timing here in just already installed here on the planet, with the moon, with the sun, and with the way the energy signatures run. So here we come to this giant gateway Wednesday, and this gateway being the spring equinox here in the northern hemisphere, the autumn equinox if you are in the southern hemisphere. And it happens, every year we have a spring equinox and a fall equinox. It doesn't, that part's not new, right? It's just that this year there is so much happening at the same time that the gateway opens. We have the full moon. We have the sun conjunct Chiron, which puts the moon in opposition to Chiron. And if you look at yesterday's blog posting, it had, I mean, literally, I could have gone with 15 different things, but the blog post would have been, a storybook, not just an article. And what I found really fascinating about the dive I was doing into this portal, this gateway coming up, is that it is based in love. In human design, what we see is that the turning of the seasons and the solstices and the equinoxes both are all based in love energies. And so we get a new iteration, if you will, of how it is that we embody love energy. And the spring equinox, fall equinox brings us, fall if you're below the equator, brings us to the energy of embodying universal love, which brings us, spirit down into the body, and then anchoring physical love, right? The love of the body being your interface with the earth for your spirit, right? So your body is really, as many people have heard, your temple, right? It's the place of residence for your spirit or your soul. And it is when your spirit is embodied that you are able to experience everything on this planet, everything love and everything not love, right? So some people might say it's everything love or everything fear. And so we come to this point in time where we get to choose. This is a choice point. I love Greg Braden, as some of you know. I love his work. It's scientific, it's spiritual, it's metaphysical, it's esoteric, but it's also grounded in science. And as a person with a science background, I really appreciate how he's able to weave those two together. It's so important, right, to be able to see how both the natural world through science and through the spiritual world, the metaphysical, can work together to create a truth. And he calls these times choice points. And we are literally at a choice point. Do we choose love? Or do we keep choosing, as we have been choosing ad nauseum, fear, right? The fear of the other, the fear of not having enough, a fear of not having all of the respect that we need or the self-worth that we need. So it is a big time for us as we gather our wits about us in these last 2 days, today and tomorrow, and literally most of the day on Wednesday before, let's see, the portal doesn't open up, I think, until this afternoon, or that afternoon, 2:59 p.m. West Coast time is when we experience the spring equinox. So we have, literally about 2.5 days worth of contemplation. What is it that we want to let go of? What is it that we want to move through in our lives so powerfully that we sort of shed the skin of the old self so that we can move into this portal, move through into this new way of being? Aries energy, right? Aries energy. And Aries energy is the beginning sign of the entire zodiac track, right? Aries and then Taurus and then Gemini on through. So Pisces is the ending. And that's where we've been parked, right? We've been parked with Neptune, Mercury, the Sun, Chiron up until just a few weeks ago, all in Pisces, creating this opening for us to end something. And then isn't it interesting that the gateway or portal for the spring equinox lands just hours before the full moon? The full moon, which is a time of releasing, a time of completion, a time of revelation or epiphany, right? Where we see the light. And indeed, the light is quite available to us, right? Through the moon. And what is it that is going to dawn on us as humanity? What is it that is going to dawn on you as an individual? And that is what these few days leading up to this equinox are really good for, right? Doing that deep dive into yourself. What is it that if you could rewrite your story, as you can now, if you rewrote your story, What would you leave out, right? What would you let go of as you move forward? What would you, leave as the chapters that were relegated to the past? And what would you want in your very juicy live moment of now that you want to take with you into this gateway? That's a lot. That's a lot to think about, right? That's a lot to think about, but it is the thing that you must do, right? We must do this as human beings before we continue this insanity that is dominating our planet right now, right? Insanity. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not going to have bumps along the way. Walking through a portal doesn't guarantee that we don't get challenged. Au contraire. We get challenged along the way in very big ways and in small ways. But the change, what happens here is the agreement that you make as you walk through that portal into how it is you're going to be when those challenges show up in your life, right? Are you going to greet them with the same old past behaviors, which might be dominated by fear or frustration or anger or depression or sadness or any of these other emotional energies? Or are you going to greet them with wonder and awe and openness and with the graciousness to understand that not everything in the world goes with as smoothly as we'd like it? Sometimes we have to be challenged by something in order to be able to see the next steps that we have to make. So here we are, right? We're in a week where all of this is possible. The first half of the week is the clearing part, the part where I would suggest you get your journals, right? You get your pads of paper, or you get, a recorder, and you start talking to yourself about the things that you want to let go of, right? What is it that isn't going with you when you move forward? Also, not to just beat yourself up in this, like, oh, I got to leave. That's so yesterday. Oh, that's so last century. But also all of the wonderful things that you've accomplished and that you've transmuted and transformed, those things you want to take with you, right? So you want to look at all the wonderful things that you want to take with you and all of the things that are best left behind, but thanking them for their appearance in your life, for the lessons they have taught you. And I'm moving on. Thank you very much. And then you move into your new year. So this is a very powerful new year. And it is the authentic new year, if you will, in that if you're following the astrological year, this is it, right? This is the time. So we're in preparation for the time of this new year. So this would be, the things that we do when it's January. Well, it would actually be December 30th or December 31st, right? We get into sort of a contemplation of what is 2019 going to bring to us, or whatever year it is. What's it going to be bringing to us? So same thing here. The difference is, because the planets are playing very powerfully here, is to tune into your own life and what is it that you are seeing in your life, because those are the harbingers of what will occur or continue to, have, more energy applied to them as the year goes on. So the year meaning we're running from March 20th until next March 19th, right? That's our year from the astrological perspective. All right, let's check in, see anything going on here. Good afternoon, Rebecca. Good morning, Janice. Good to see you. Colleen, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Linda, I'm up sort of talking to attorney today about office property. Awesome. That's proactive, getting, yourself somebody that can be on your side. Good morning, Lynn Goldberg, and good morning, Patricia Woods. Good to see everybody. Debbie Hedden. This is so helpful and reaffirming for me. I know what I need to do, but don't always push myself to do it. Well, let me tell you about the push that we all have here. I woke up this morning and I did not want to get up. I hate time changes. I'm going to have to come to peace with the time change, or I'm just going to have to start really living my life without the time change, because it just throws me into this, feeling like I'm out of sync. I'm out of sync with myself right now. I'll sync back up as soon as I plug myself into the wall, maybe. But as I was looking at the chart for today, I pulled the chart and I didn't make very much notes, because I knew Amy was going to be here this morning and we were going to have this wonderful conversation. And yeah, No, that didn't happen. But one thing really jumped out at me about today and about what it is that we cannot push back on, that it's right in our face. And it is today, for the first time ever, I don't remember seeing this many yods in one day. I'm going to take a pen really quickly and outline a yod here so you guys can see. A yod is called the finger of God. It is highly energized energy. And it's like an isosceles triangle. So yeah, an isosceles triangle has the 45-degree angles at the bottom, and it comes to the point up here, right? And so it's kind of a tight triangle. And here's a picture, right? If you can see that, that's one yod. The planet that's up at the point of the yod is sort of the release point for all of the energy, and the ones at the base are holding static. They're holding, it's like, think of a statue, right? The reason why a statue stands up is because it has a strong base. Well, the base forms here the sextile between, in this case, Mars and the North Node, and the nozzle or the tip points up to Jupiter. So we're being pointed in the direction born out of our deliberate creational and creative energy, deliberate creative energies pushed up toward Jupiter in a way that we expand and we grow our consciousness and we grow our truth. That's one. Then we have another one extraordinarily pointing at the moon, which would only be available for us right here in this moment as we chat, right? And the nozzle is pointed at the moon right here. Oh, can I see you guys? Yeah. Right here in Leo. There's the moon in Leo. And forming the base here is the conjunction, close to freaking conjunction, of Saturn and Pluto, and at the other end, the Sun and Mercury even, because Mercury and the Sun are still fairly close together. So there's a second yod. And essentially the base here is our foundation and our spirit. So here we see the base forms our actual humanity, right? Our humanity when we are embodying spirit. So the whole enchilada, right? Not just this part of you that you think of as your body as you're walking through your world, and not just this part of you that you think of as your soul that's, connected to spirit. It is, or connected to God or source or whatever. It is the bringing together of the two that form the base for our play. Right, pointing at the moon in Leo today, which is about playing. It is about the creative energy of a child, the imagination of a child, right? Even Jesus, at some point in his career, said that we had to return to being like a child in order to embrace the kingdom of God. Now, I'm pretty sure that's all code for saying that we had to get back to joy and play and creativity and imagination. That I think in a way he was telling us that we're holding the paintbrush or the pen of our lives. And what is it that we want to create, right? A child sits and creates all kinds of magical worlds and magical beings and magical experiences. And, they don't know the difference between what's real and what isn't. Well, I think in a way, that's what's happened to us here. We all think this is so real, right? We think this is so real, but we are really the ones that have created it. So we have that going on here, right? The moon reminding us that it's all about the play. It's all about the imagination, and it's all about creative energy. What do you want to create now, right? What do you want to create now? Now, another one that's interesting is, I'm going to draw it in, and this one is with the vertex of the chart. And the vertex is a sensitive point. So here's the vertex, right here. And usually it's like just says VER or VERTE in this case, VERTE. And the vertex is sort of the mathematical halfway point of the chart. And if you took all of the energy and you laid it out in a line, let's say, right, the vertex would be about the halfway point of all of that energy. And it becomes a sensitive point in the chart. And there's a lot more to it than that, I'm sure. I always pull it up to see where it is, but I don't always think about it too much unless there's an outer planet or another planet at the point of it, or in some way affecting it. Because the vertex is often where your teacher, the master, the person who shakes up your world appears, right? The vertex is usually a planet hitting that in some way, brings someone into your life. Not always in a good way. Sometimes it could be that person that challenges you, that really annoys you, that really, gets under your skin, right? That creates that, I wish this person would go away kind of feeling. But on the other hand, that person can turn out to be the best teacher ever, right? Teaching you something about you. And at other times it is literally the master that shows up in your life to guide you into the next steps for you. And what's forming the base here is even more interesting. It is the black moon Lilith on one side and the planet Eris on the other side. Literally, the goddesses of shadow and the goddesses of discord, the ones that want to dig up the dirt, right? That want you to look in the shadow, in the darkness, and find all those places where you're not being authentic and true to you. They're at the base. So when we see in our outer world right now today, literally, we may see some things going on, some shaking up. The fallout perhaps of the college scandal if you're here in the US, maybe the fallout of the Mueller investigation here in the US. Who knows? It could be any number of things around the world that are going on. I don't even know how to say this exactly, but we can get so, narrow-minded about what's going on in the world based on where we live. Like I know very clearly what's going on here in the US, or, it's in my face, right? But, and maybe it's just something here in the US, right? Where we've got these blinders on. I had no idea there was this very big thing going on in India about their elections and how they have a person in power that's like another Trump, right? Trump even talks about him in his lead up to the election in 2016. And I was like, what? Where did that come from? And it is still some of that. There's still some of this energy in the leaders that are out in our countries. And that means that they're putting it in our faces as the common person, right? It's in our faces. This idea of white supremacy. And it's going on in India, of all the places on the planet. I couldn't even believe that this was happening. And it's not necessarily white supremacy there. For them, it's this Hindu supremacy, right? In our country, it's about white supremacy. Perhaps in other countries, it's about maybe a different religion. It might be a different color of the skin. It could be an education system, in different countries around the world, but the same energy is playing out everywhere, right? The us versus them. And here we have this, shadow of these goddesses that are helping us to bring this up to the surface. All the ugliness is boiling up, and it's being pointed to at the vertex, where it is somebody will emerge. Maybe not today, but maybe not today, but maybe in the next few weeks or months or days or years, who knows, that will be the leader here, that will pull us out of that darkness and into the light. I don't know who that would be. I don't know if it's someone different for each country. I don't know if it's someone that takes the world by storm, but I kind of see that going on right here. And this isn't going to change much between now and the spring equinox. So that's our third yod. We have another yod, and it's made up of one half of the Jupiter one. In fact, Jupiter becomes the base of this yod, as well as Venus and the black moon Lilith. Oh, holy cow. But this one is pointed at our destiny. Right, pointed right here at our destiny, the North Node. The North Node in Cancer, and it's anchored by Jupiter, growth and expansion, and the black moon Lilith, addressing your shadows, addressing the fear, right? Addressing all the fear, pointing it at the North Node, deliberately moving in a new direction, right? If you've always been afraid of something, you need to move in that direction to release the fear, right? This is a release point. And then we also have, did I lose the other one now? I thought there was one. Yeah, there is one here. There's so many lines now that I'm kind of lost. Pointed right at the sun and Mercury right here. And it's a little bit crossed because I've got the other one that I had this as the base, but it's pointed here and it's made up of Pallas Athena and the moon pointed over here at the sun. That's about releasing ourselves, becoming more free. So yods. They're so fascinating because they don't take prisoners. There's no way around this one, right? We don't get to hide from this one. This is one that we are absolutely having to deal with in one way or another. It might mean we have to adjust our energy. We may have to adjust our viewpoint. We may have to take a look at, where things are stuck and where we want to release ourselves from these things. So, yods, fingers of God. And I've just never seen so many in one day. But I think what it really does is it stirs the pot, right? You could look at this as the spoon that you're going to take and you're going to swirl through your life, or the stir, and you're going to stir it up, because you're going to need to be able to see what comes next, right? You're going to need to choose. You need to see what's in your mind. You need to know what's in your heart in order to create where you go. So these are like little irritations, right? Little irritations. You know that mosquito bite that you get, or, and it's always there and just ready to be itched, right? And in some ways, sometimes with yod, we have to sacrifice something, right? What would we be willing to sacrifice in order to move toward love, right? What would we be willing to let go of? That is the energy for today. What are those things that we're going to shed before we walk through the portal opening up with the spring and fall equinox? Those are the questions. All right, so let's see. Trisha, good morning. Vanita says, I don't need any more challenges. Michelle says, how long will this Vertex Lilith last time frame? Debbie, I'm with you, Vanita. We'll get through. You are not alone. And, need I say, it's not always just a personal challenge. You yourself may go through this without any kind of issues, any additional issues, but you will see it reflected to you maybe in other people in your life. Michelle, right? We talked about this morning a little bit, where other people in her life right now seem to have all of these things going on, and she's left going like, what can I do for them? Well, there's nothing you can really do except hold people in love and allow them to move through whatever it is they need to move through, right? You can be there, you can witness. You can't solve their problems, right? You can't take away their issues. You can be their friend or you can be their confidant, but you have to be willing to allow them to move through whatever it is that they're moving through. Others of you may have the challenges yourself. And if that's the case, find others that can help support you through things, right? Who are your friends? Who are your family members? Who is your support team? Maybe it's not even a live person. Maybe it's an angel. Maybe it's your spirit guide, right? Maybe it's God, goddess, whatever, right? So it's not that there's something new on the horizon for all of us. It's that these things are literally coming up, right? They're sort of in our face, right? Where it is that we're not right with ourselves or with being able to move into the new. And if that's the case, then wow, right? We want to know. I want to know what I have to let go of. I want to know what isn't useful for me anymore. So there we go. Good morning, Diana. Good to see you. Mimi says, wow, so many yods are pushing us for change. We need this even though they are challenging. Talk about spring cleaning. Oh, that's a great metaphor, Mimi. Spring cleaning. It's funny, I FaceTimed my son yesterday about something completely different. And here he was in the midst of cleaning. He's like, we're spring cleaning today, Mom. And I went, what? Sure enough, they're tearing apart their closets. Clean out your closets, right? Clean out your closet. What's in the closet of your mind? What's in the closet of your heart that doesn't need to be there? Literally, sometimes it's a house cleaning. That can be the inspiration for you to move forward. So those are our yods for today. And it's interesting because there's so many and they're so intense. That's intense energy. When you have one, it's intense. Now you've got five, right? It can be very intense. But what's the lesson for the day that the moon is teaching us? Playing, creativity, imagination, becoming more childlike in our enthusiasm. So the lesson is really about this is a play. This is for fun. And you can rewrite the script at any time. And here we also have to know that today's play becomes tomorrow's work, because tomorrow the moon will be in Virgo. And actually later in the day today, the moon will be in Virgo. The moon turns void, of course, at 8:19, which is about 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, something like that. And we are in void, of course, moon until 6:41 p.m. my time, 9:41 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. So for a good chunk of the day, we have the energy of contemplation, of meditation, of quiet and solitude with us, as opposed to the loud noise of, trying to create something, do something different, behave differently, etc. So the void, of course, moon, of course, gives us that access to the more quiet energies. Not a great day to start something new, not a great day to try to push and get things done. It's likely not going to happen because literally the entire workday for all of us on the West Coast and for most of you on the East Coast, it's almost all of the workday as well, is all in void, right? All in void. There's nothing new to go through. So take the time to tap in, watch what's going on in your mind as you're doing your work. Watch what's going on in your mind as you're contemplating, these changes that are upon us. What are you thinking about them? Are you in fear around them? Right? Are you in fear? Are you rising up to meet them? Or what's going on with that? So lots to think about. Laura says, thanks for reminding about the angelic support group. Definitely, angelic support group, right? It is right there for you. All we need to do is ask, and they come to us. All right, so let's see. Anything else that I want to talk to you guys about today? Tomorrow we'll probably talk more about the spring equinox and fall equinox itself. Wednesday, Rosie Aronson is going to be here with us in the morning, and she is so much more than I thought she was, right? Not that I thought she was small in any shape or way, but as I started digging into her yesterday, digging into her background and looking at the things she's done and what she stands for and how she calls her true self, her authentic self into being, I was amazed. I was amazed that there's a being like this in the world. I was amazed that there's a being in my own field of influence in the world. And I'm going to bring her to you guys because I think you need someone like Rosie Aronson in your world. I can't wait. She is the creator of the wisdom of the wisdom deck of oracle cards based in the 64 gene keys. And she has written a couple of books I didn't even realize that she had out there. One is, we'll talk about all of that on Wednesday when she's here with us, but I'm really excited to bring her here to meet you all and for you to experience what it's like to have someone in your world that is literally living her truth creatively and inspired. And side note, it wasn't always that way for her. Right? It wasn't always that way for her. Her story is just like yours and mine, right? That, she's gone through she's had her lumps and her bumps and her challenges. And really what she will be able to do for us is affirm that those are the things that lead you to the still waters and to the creative genius that you are. So is there a yod every day? Colleen says, how common are they? Well, yods are not all that common. Planets have to be pretty spread out in order to have them, and that we may move through more yods with the moon during any kind of week, but not necessarily to the extent that we have them here right this moment, right? To me, that was kind of shocking. The moon moves a degree or two every couple of hours. So, she's booking it through the yods. Some of these other planets aren't booking it so fast, right? The North Node, Jupiter, and even Pluto and Saturn, those may stick around for a bit or reform as time goes on, but they're not all that common at all, Colleen. Yet when we have them in operation, they're digging up the dirt, if you will. They're aerating the soil. They're the wind, right, that creates some movement in our lives. Lynn, good morning, says, oh my, I so wanted to hear your interview with Rosie live, but I have plans Wednesday. Perhaps I can reschedule. So exciting. Perhaps you can reschedule, or you can always hear the recorded interview too as well. All right. I think that's all I have for you today, except why don't we draw a couple of cards for us for the week and the week ahead. And that will be the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, Wisdom of the Oracle deck, right? This is by Colette Baron Reed. And so I'm going to pull a card. This is for the week for us to keep in mind as we're transiting through these things. Happy, happy. And I'm not sure how it is, so we're going to read it both ways. There's happy, happy, happy. Look at her. Card number 26. It's an 8. And balloons implies party. But because she kind of came out in a weird way, I'm going to read it both. Oh, look at what she's sitting on. She's sitting on a lock that requires a key, right? So here we go. All right, so let's see what this card is about. I don't think we've had this one before, guys. At least I don't remember it. So, happy happies. Essential meaning, joy and contentment, a sense of fulfillment, a feeling that all is well. The Oracle's message says your desires are effortlessly fulfilled now. Find joy in the present moment, whatever is happening, and be satisfied with things as they are. You're free from the shackles of longing and able to experience the liberation that comes from actually being happy moment to moment, for you have chosen happiness over yearning for it. Now is the time for feeling joy for the sake of joy and experiencing contentment. None of this is because of something outside of yourself. Your happiness is a result of your being at one with Spirit's plan for your life. All is well. The tide is in for now. Enjoy playfully splashing in it. But I'm going to read the protection message because it was not sure. The protection message may be for some of us. We got to think about this one. Lighten up, because this is the time to be ridiculous and silly. See the world through the eyes of a clown and don't take yourself or any situation right now too seriously. Have fun, be playful, and make laughter the order of the day. You'll be surprised by how everything just seems to fall into place when humor leads the way. Being happy and lighthearted is a wonderful icebreaker. Life is meant for play as well as work, for laughter as well as tears, for celebration as well as focus. Spirit wants to sparkle through you today. Smile and enjoy each breath and each moment. Miracles lie in the silly things today. Well, considering we start the week with the moon in Leo, that is a perfect message, I think, right? Perfectly perfect. Let's draw us an animal card, a spirit animal card, to be on the journey with us this week as well. I went through each one of these cards the other day and separated them because some of them seem to stick together. And I wanted to make sure that that wasn't happening. And at the same time, I made sure that every other one was upside down so that we would have a true sort of read on whether it was in protection or not. Seahorse spirit. Can you see that? Watch and wait, it says the message. And this is card number 53, which is also an 8. 8 seems to be the order of the week, which is power. ambition, drive. That's kind of a pretty card. And 8 is also the God number, the God code, the God number. And it's infinity, right? What did I do with the book? Here we go. Number 53, Seahorse Spirit. All right, it says watch and wait. Hovering gracefully, the seahorse observes with the perspective of one who is not engulfed by the drama, remaining at a distance from all the turbulence. Seahorse spirit appears at this time to remind you of the need to be neutral and gain perspective. Your message from Seahorse Spirit is, not my circus, not my monkeys. Spirit wants you to know that even if you are tempted to jump into the fray and try to fix things, the best way to serve yourself and others right now is to remain calm and simply watch and see. Another message here is that whatever your query, Seahorse Spirit asks you to step back from it, be willing to explore things from different angles rather than a single one, and just observe what is possible. From the perspective of the position of the neutral observer, you will discover a myriad of opportunities and a deeper understanding of what you seek and why. And you will know beauty, truth, love, and wisdom. I love it when the cards sort of back up the things that we've been talking about, right? Staying above the fray, being the observer, being neutral, and things will be okay. So that's it for me today. Any other questions? I'll check real quickly here. Would you draw a card for me, please? Okay, Laura, what card would you like? What deck? Would you like a wisdom or an animal, spirit animal? And while there, I'll say, I'm going to do a quick check on something because I didn't remember exactly what day the new, tomorrow. Perfect. So tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll go through the Human Design Week. Tomorrow's the first day of the new Human Design Week. And that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, talking about the themes that the sun and earth and planets are bringing to us. Laura, wisdom. Okay, so here we go. The wisdom of the oracle. So we're going to be focusing on Laura and bringing out a card that she needs to hear the information from. It's upside down and it's poised. Hold on. Camera. There we go. Poised. I'm going to turn her around so you can see her. It is card number 12, which is a 3. Poised. And let's see what it means. She actually has stars coming out of her fingers. Can you guys see that? She's really a pretty card. Now, she was upside down, though, so she's in protection. So let's look up card 48. See what that means for you, my dear. 48. Wow. Back here. Okay, so poised. The essential meaning of the card is being ready, bringing something to light, being at your best, and confidence. All right, in protection, it says, you're not ready to move forward at this time, and that has to be okay. Be poised in the face of demands and deadlines. Pretending you know what you're doing works sometimes, but if you adopt a fake it till you make it attitude, it will land you in some muck right now. This is not the time to wing it and deliver something half finished. It's okay to postpone things until you are really ready. It's better to disappoint others now than to wish you had later. So it sounds like you've got a bit of a stop sign for you, Laura. I'm not sure what it is that you're dealing with, but it would seem that time is your ally here, right? Waiting a little bit longer. No one ever likes to hear waiting, but sometimes that's the case. You know, something occurred to me this morning as I was just looking at charts and thinking about the energies that are building up here for the rest of this year, in that Saturn and Pluto, Saturn is at 19 degrees of Capricorn, Pluto at 22. So literally they're only, 3 degrees away from one another right now. In astrology, that's a conjunction, right? We consider a 3 to 5 degree orb, meaning how many degrees apart they are before they become exact, as actually being okay in this case. And So these two, even though they aren't exact conjunct until January 12th of 2020, are already skating the edge here, right? They're coming together. The theme of these two coming together is about integrity, being in integrity, being transparent, right? Karma is big on this stage, right? That's this huge karma coming home to roost. And karma can be good. Karma can be recognition and reward just as easily as it can be the opposite, right? The exposed and the angered and the embarrassed. And we only have in this country, we've just had the college scandal. That is Saturn and Pluto, pure and simple, coming together, right? To expose something that isn't fair, something that isn't right, something that's ugly and seemingly out of integrity. And there will be more, right? There will be more. For anybody in this world who's been living out of integrity, the hits will come, right? That will push you to be back in integrity. And this particular duo in Capricorn rule our structures, government, institutions like schools, or the the financial institutions, the medical world as an institution, the military as an institution. You name it, if it's an institution, it's ruled by the sign of Capricorn. Business as an institution. And wherever they are lacking integrity, it's going to be exposed. Not to be hurtful and harmful, but to right the ship, right? To get it right. So even in our own worlds, each of us as individuals are also being asked to right the ship, to be in integrity, to be authentic, to claim your own authority. And where you are out of authority, where you are out of integrity, it'll be exposed to you, right? And sometimes taking action on something that you're not quite ready to do yet is also putting you at risk of being out of integrity, right? So being very careful about that. So Laura, I hope that helps you. We've had recent uncovering in Canada too. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. So each of you are seeing this in your own world, in your own way, in your own organizations, maybe, or in your own country, since I know some of you are listening from other countries. It's coming up. It's in the field, and it's here to be corrected. Correction is what is the name of the game here, right? Not blind ambition and the greed model that undermines everyone and everything, but toward a new uplifted way of being with one another. So it's a big task, and not one I think that's going to be graded lightly, and not obviously, right? It's not. You can see people kicking and screaming out there against the tide. And I mean, in the short term, that's the way things are probably going to be. In the long term, things are shifting. And, we can either do this consciously and go with that flow, or we can kick and scream against it. Either way, we're going there. Either way, the tides are taking us. We are at the, behest of evolutionary impulses that are taking us places. And there's always going to be the holdouts. There is always going to be the people that are in resistance to what is happening, that feel threatened by what is happening, that feel like they're losing something because of what's happening in the world. And we just have to move through it. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I will see you tomorrow morning. We'll take up the Human Design Week. In the meantime, much love to all of you. Take care. Bye for now.